We begin the process of configuring the ShareScan connector for Microsoft Exchange by launching the Administration console. Then navigate to the Connectors tab and select the Exchange connector from the list. The main portion of the screen provides a single tab for configuring the majority of the connector. One of the benefits of this connector is that it provides a wizard to assist in the workflow creation. You can also manually configure the connector attributes using the Edit option. We'll use the wizard option for this example. When you launch the wizard, the welcome screen appears first. It outlines the major steps involved. The term Protocol Composite refers to the set of networking protocols that the connector will use to establish communication with the Exchange server. The connector can use a variety of protocols to perform address book lookups and mail delivery. Clicking Next will bring you to the screen that allows you to choose the protocol composite. The drop-down list displays all of the possible options. As you can see, the first three options only list one protocol. Selecting one of those options means the connector will use that protocol in two ways, once for address book lookups and again for the actual mail delivery. But as you can also see, the connector can use a hybrid approach, for example, LDAP for lookups and WebDAV for delivery. Which of the 6 options you should select depends entirely on the email infrastructure you're trying to connect to. Work closely with your customer contact, preferably the email administrator, to determine the right option for you. Some of the factors that will decide the protocol include the age of the Exchange server and where it's physically located. The ShareScan connector for Microsoft Exchange supports both local servers and hosted Exchange servers that are located on the Internet, so it's extremely flexible. The wizard will respond differently depending on which of the 6 options you choose here. Let's say for this example that we're configuring the connector for an organization who utilizes Exchange Web Services. We'll select Exchange Web Services as our protocol composite and enter in the service account information in the lower part of the screen. You should always be prepared to enter in the service account. It is needed regardless of which protocol is used. The connector uses this account to perform address book lookups. Work with your customer contact to get this information into the connector. Having a usable service account is one of the items listed in the ShareScan pre-install checklist, or PICL. This document is critical to review prior to any ShareScan installation and is covered in more detail in the ShareScan installation video, which is also found on our YouTube channel. The pre-installation checklist contains information about supported Exchange versions and details any prerequisite work that needs to be completed prior to connector configuration. You can find this document on the Engage website at the URL shown on the screen. After we've entered the service account information, we need to select an authentication method. Runtime forces the user to enter in their Exchange username and password at time of scan, while the Login As option uses the previously entered service account information instead. Let's assume security is a priority for this workflow and we'll use the Runtime option. Administrators can decide whether to enable or disable dynamic searching of usernames using the last option highlighted here. I'll leave the Search While Typing option set as a convenience for this workflow, but ask your customer when configuring this connector in the field, as they may have security policies which might require you use another option. Clicking Next brings you to the screen where you can enter in the Exchange Web Services URL. Again, consult your customer contact for the proper information to enter here. This is the last step in the wizard. Clicking Next will bring you to the summary screen, which provides an opportunity to review your selections before committing to them. Clicking Finish will return you to the main configuration screen. Note that using the wizard is certainly the quickest way to configure the connector. However, the wizard does assume certain connector attributes. If you need to edit any parameter of the connector, you can always click on the Edit option to view the entirety of the configuration. You can see as we pan through the various tabs that the wizard has taken our responses and filled out the configuration fields. Let's say, for example, though, that we'd like to enable Exchange messaging options, so end users can decide whether to set the importance and sensitivity of their outgoing emails. We'll set each of these options to User is allowed to modify, which will have the desired effect. Similarly, We might navigate to the Sending Options tab to create a customized subject line that will appear to end users when they use this connector. Once you've made any and all necessary changes, click OK. Then we can turn our attention to the right-hand column where we can further define connector options as well as enabling services. Let's set our label to Scan to Email and select a custom image for our connector button. This will help distinguish this profile from others when they appear in the ShareScan client. We can use the Settings section to enable or disable document services as well. Let's assume our customer requires that their PDFs be text searchable. Admins can also enable other ShareScan services such as bait stamping or offline processing by scrolling down and enabling the appropriate checkboxes. These options are common to every connector, so you should be familiar with these. As usual, we must now save the profile and give it a name by selecting the Save Current Profile As button in the middle of the screen. We'll name our profile Scan to Email. The last step in the administration console is always to deploy the connector to one or more devices. In this case, we'll be using the ShareScan simulator to emulate an actual scanning device. So we click on the Devices tab, select Simulator, and locate the Exchange profile name in the list. Select the checkbox next to it and click the Save button. This deploys the connector profile to the simulator client. You should always test out your profiles in the simulator to ensure they're functioning properly. The easiest way to launch the simulator is to click on the Simulator button in the Home toolbar. You should now see your newly created button available for testing. Clicking the button will bring up the familiar preview screen with its sample scanned image. Along the left are buttons for adding additional pages to this scan job, deleting pages, rotating pages, as well as options for scanner and document settings. Let's click on the document settings to verify some of our configuration choices. You can see the searchable text option we enabled in the administration console. Click OK to return to the preview screen, and then the Next button to proceed with the workflow. The next screen prompts us for our Exchange logon credentials. This is because we use the Runtime Authentication option in the connector. The Send screen then appears, which allows us to add recipients, select the subject line, and add notes to appear in the body of the email. We'll also click the Show Options checkbox to allow us to set the Exchange messaging options on the following screen. Let's request a delivery receipt for our email and set the importance to High. Note how the connector gives me the opportunity to save the recipient email address into my Outlook contacts. Clicking Send then routes the scanned document to the Exchange server. We're brought to a screen that indicates the successful transmission of the document to Exchange. Besides giving us the option to quit, we also have other redirect options for scanning a new document back into the same Exchange destination, or scanning the same document into a new destination. You've just seen how easy it is to set up the eCopy ShareScan connector for Microsoft Exchange. Remember to check out our other configuration tutorials available on the Nuance Imaging YouTube channel.